Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Stephanie. I'm one of the diabetes educators and registered dietitians with the Mary Washington Diabetes Management Program. And today I am going to show you how to do a quick and easy stir fry in the Instant Pot, which is one of my favorite cooking tools. It helps me to get dinner ready really quickly on a work night. So we are going to get started with a hibachi chicken and vegetable over brown rice. So first, I've already started the brown rice, and I just want to mention that this is jasmine brown rice, which cooks in 30 minutes, and it has, let's see, it's got 34 grams of carb for 3/4 of a cup. And out of that 34 grams of carb, 2 are coming from dietary fiber. So it's a better option than choosing white rice, because it does give you the whole grain rather than the refined grain, and it does give you some fiber. Now, if you are in a real rush and you don't have time for something like this, you can always choose these pouches. These are a great time saver. They are also a whole grain. They have 43 grams of carb for 1 cup, and out of that 43 grams of carb, 2 are coming from fiber. So this is a great alternative. I don't find that it tastes quite as good or as fresh, but if you're putting a stir fry on top of it, you don't really notice that so much. So I think it's a great option. So we are going to start with the sauce, and this comes together really quickly. I'm going to show you some other options to speed things along a little bit, but I have pre-measured a 1/2 cup of low sodium soy sauce. So I'm going to pour that in the Instant Pot, and I also have here 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. So you can use white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. I prefer the apple cider just for a little bit more flavor. And then I've got 2 cloves of garlic. So I like to use fresh garlic, and I am going to quickly mince this. So I've got my gadget here that's going to mince the garlic, and it's going to mince the ginger, so that I only have 1 gadget to clean. So I am always thinking about cleanup as I go along, because I hate to be left with a whole sink full of dishes once dinner is ready. So I've got my 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to chop each one in half, and I am going to put it in here, give it a quick little twist, and it comes out beautifully minced. So I will put that into the Instant Pot, and then I will do the second one, give it a quick little twist, and add that to the Instant Pot. Now I'm going to mince about 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger. So you can either peel the fresh ginger using a spoon, the skin slides right off, or what I prefer is just to use a sharp knife and peel off the outside of the ginger. And again, I'm just going to get rid of that skin and put approximately a tablespoon's worth into my gadget and give it a little twist. This one takes a little bit more muscle instead of the garlic, which is a lot easier to twist, but it comes out perfectly minced. And then I'll put the rest of it in here, give it a twist, and add that to the Instant Pot. Now, what I like to do in order to make my weeknights really easy and smooth is I like to do a meal plan for the week. So I will come up with all my meals for the entire week, and I will do grocery shopping once. So that way, when it is a busy weeknight and I get home from work, I can just look at my list and I already know what I'm preparing for dinner that night. Now, to make it even easier, what I do a lot of times when I have some extra time is as soon as I get home from the grocery store, I will chop up my onions, rinse and chop up all my vegetables, and cut up my chicken. So I get a bulk package of chicken. I usually get it from one of those wholesale types of stores. And so I'll get about 12 pounds of chicken and chop it up into 2-pound freezer bags in small pieces. And I like to get rid of all the fat. I really don't like to bite into my chicken and get a piece of fat in my mouth. So when I'm doing that in one sitting, I'll get my kitchen scissors and I just take all the fat off of the chicken, cut it up into bite-sized pieces, and put it again into 2-pound freezer bags. So that makes it so much easier for me on a weeknight when I get home from work and I have to get things prepared quickly. So now I've got the onions that goes into the Instant Pot. I've got them all chopped up, and I'm going to put a little bit of pepper in there. So we've got that low sodium soy sauce, so we really don't have a lot of sodium in this, but what gives it the most flavor is the fresh ginger, the fresh garlic, and the pepper. So I'm just giving it a quick stir, and then I am putting my vegetables in. So for this meal, I've got mushrooms that I sliced up. Again, you can do them at the beginning of the week. And I have another time saver. So this is broccoli and carrots. Now, normally I would use mushrooms and zucchini for this recipe, but my supermarket was completely out of zucchini this week. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do now is just put all the vegetables and the chicken into the Instant Pot. And again, this recipe is great because you can use anything you have on hand. Any vegetables that you have on hand. If you don't like chicken, you could use another lean meat. Now, I like to use a lot of vegetables because vegetables give you more food with very few calories and grams of carbs. So it's a great filler. And then the chicken, of course, does not have any carbs either. So I'm just putting that on top. And all we do now is just give it a quick stir, put the top on it, and cook it on manual pressure for 3 minutes. Now, yes, it does take time for the Instant Pot to come to that pressure so that it'll start cooking. So it actually is more than 3 minutes, but I can do other things. So I can get that set to go, and then I can clean everything up. I can go change out of my work clothes, and I can get things done around the house. So it's a huge time saver. I forgot to plug it in. So I am going to set this to go for 3 minutes, and I will be back. Okay, so I have released the pressure from the Instant Pot. I just turned the valve and let the pressure release quickly. Took the stir fry that I created in the Instant Pot, put it on top of the plate of brown rice, and I am going to just cut some scallions, which I always have growing in my house. You just put them, once you've used them from the grocery store, you just put the roots into a cup of water and they just continue to regenerate. So I like to cut those with the kitchen scissors, not the same scissors that I used for cutting the raw chicken, but a fresh pair of kitchen scissors. So I cut those up and top with some toasted sesame seeds. And there you have it, a hibachi chicken and vegetable dinner cooked at home over brown rice. And it has probably about a quarter of the calories, the carbs, the milligrams of sodium as what you would get if you got takeout. Plus, it was much more budget friendly. So I hope I've inspired you to plan ahead for some meals during the week and make your own healthy takeout at home. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, my name is Jody. I am a certified diabetes educator, dietitian, and I work for the Mary Washington Diabetes Management Nutrition Program. Welcome to my kitchen. Today, I want to talk about something near and dear to me, healthy snacks. Picture this. It's the end of a long day. You've just changed into some comfy clothes. You're settling down to watch a movie, read a good book, maybe work on a crossword puzzle, or even have game night. All of a sudden, you're seized with a snack attack. What do? At the end of the day, let's face it, our willpower is waning, and on the rise are these cravings, and we need to know how to battle them. So what I say is be prepared. So I want to talk about things that you can include in a healthy snack that are low in carbohydrates, low in calories, high in fiber, and include some protein and a little bit of fat, which will give you some satisfying and lasting effect. Okay, so what I'd like to start with first is one of the things that's my favorite, and that is popcorn. This is a go-to for me. And popcorn is a whole grain. It's full of fiber and it has other minerals in it as well. So it makes it a good, healthy choice. Not all popcorn is the same though. Let's look at movie theater popcorn. If you were looking at that, you're talking something that is high in calories, maybe about 1,200 calories or more, 60 grams of saturated fat, and over 2,000 milligrams of sodium. Ouch. So also, not in the best of choices might be some of those commercial popcorn options that we see. You have to be careful when you look at the labels of those, reading what some of those additive flavoring ingredients are, and if it contains trans fat, which is not good for our heart and cardiovascular system. So my go-to popcorn-wise is doing an air pop, and what I like for convenience is my microwavable silicone popcorn maker. You'll notice it comes it folds up really nice, So I can just pop this up, and what I'm gonna do is, I don't think you can see, but there's little incremental lines on the bottom here, and I'm just gonna fill this to the first little line. It's all I need, and if you wanna know exactly how much popcorn is in here, I've measured it out. It's about 1/3 of a cup. If you choose, you can add a little bit of oil to this. I wouldn't recommend more than 1 teaspoon. I'm not putting any in here. It's just ready to go. I stick it in the microwave and get popcorn. Okay, so I mentioned fiber. Fiber is something that we often don't get enough of. The recommended daily intake says for women, we should have 25 grams and men should have 38. Well, popcorn, if I have 3 cups of this, less than 100 calories and about 4 grams of fiber. Pretty awesome. All right, so I want to show you some other options I have for snacks. You'll see over here in the corner, I have several varieties of nuts. One is sweet and the other is savory. And what I like about these is it helps me avoid mindless munching because they're in controlled portion packs of about 100 calories. So what that equates to, and what we generally say is a good serving of nuts, is about a cupped handful, which is also about 1/4 cup. So nuts are great. They have some protein, they have unsaturated fat, which is healthy. You have to be careful, they pack a punch with the calories. What I like to do is pair some nuts with an apple or other form of fresh fruit. Again, a low-calorie option, and the carbohydrates are only about 15 grams, 1 carbohydrate serving. Some of my other go-tos, I like veggies, and you'll see here I have bell peppers. I have the rainbow of colors here. They all are great with being low carb, and they are packed with vitamins and minerals, a lot of antioxidants, and fiber. What I like to do with the peppers is pair them with some guacamole. Guacamole is avocado. Mine has a little mix of some chopped up garlic and some tomatoes in it. It's also high in fiber and a healthy fat. So those pair together nice. Another of my faves is these little baby carrots. I call them orange gems. Crunch and munch. It's great anytime we crunch and munch something. It tends to be a little bit more filling. So what I like to pair mine with is hummus, which is made out of chickpeas. So there is some protein and there is good fiber and unsaturated fats in this as well. Popcorn's ready. I'm going to take this out. Whoop. So, another great thing about my popper is these little handles on the side so I don't burn my fingers when I take it out. And then what I can also do is use this as a bowl if I like. What I know though is there's about 2 servings in here. So I might actually break that down into 2 bowls. So, popcorn tends to go well if you have a little bit of topping on it. One of my faves is this everything on the bagel seasoning. No calories, it's very low in sodium, and it has sesame seeds, some minced onion, so it's a very savory seasoning. So I'll just sprinkle some of that on. Another one of my favorites is actually using a little bit of Parmesan cheese. So there's 20 calories per 2 teaspoons. So that's a nice flavoring here. And I might actually sprinkle on also a little bit of garlic powder. So those are kind of savory seasonings. Another option might be, if you like sweet popcorn, try cinnamon. It imparts a sweet flavor. Cinnamon is good because it's good for our gut health, and it might also help with blood sugar control. So, all right. You might have heard of folks that like to drink a cup of milk before they go to bed. And there's some value in that, and it's because dairy products contain what we call tryptophan. It's an essential amino acid, and it's known to help increase serotonin and melatonin, which help us stimulate sleep or drowsiness. The other thing that's great about dairy is there's some protein, fat, and of course it's loaded with vitamins and minerals. My go-tos dairy-wise would be Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and ricotta cheese. Let me show you what I do with my cottage cheese. So I'll start with it, about half a cup. I choose the low-fat variety, so I have a little less calories in there, and that's about a half a cup. I'll often get blueberries, and blueberries are great. They're full of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and of course fiber. And you get about a half to 3/4 cups, only 15 grams of carbohydrates. So I'll pour that on my cottage cheese and then sprinkle it with a little bit of cinnamon. It is delicious, and it's one of my favorite go-to healthy snacks. It doesn't always have to be at night. I mentioned ricotta cheese. Ricotta cheese we often think of as associated with lasagna or Italian desserts, but I actually like it for a lot of things. It goes well on celery, but here you see I've paired it with some pears. I have taken some fresh pears, and I can just spread this on the pear or dip the pear in it if I like. Another thing I like to do with my fruit is sometimes cut it up, and I'll use a little bit of that pan spray in a little pan and saute my fruit on top of the stove. It tends to bring out the sweetness of the fruit. Pears are a great source of vitamins and minerals, of course the antioxidants, which are good for us, and pears are an awesome source of fiber. Coming over here to the other side of the table, once again, one of the things, I forgot to mention, with the cottage cheese, what you could also do with this is maybe add some flaxseed. Flaxseed is a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. It also has tryptophan, just like the dairy products, so you know that's helpful for sleep. It's also a good source of magnesium, which could help with stress reduction, and if you have any muscle or nerve soreness, it can help reduce that as well. So I could put some flaxseed and a little bit of cinnamon on my cottage cheese, another delicious combination. When that sweet tooth just is something that I can't get away from, and I feel like I have to have, one of the things I do is I keep my freezer, make sure I have on the ready some frozen, portion-controlled treats. So this is one of my favorites. It's a frozen Greek yogurt, and it's 100 calories. It's got about 5 grams of protein. The carbohydrates are equal to about 1 carbohydrate serving, about 15 grams, and it's delicious. It's also portion controlled, so I don't go crazy with it. The last thing I want to point out to you is sometimes what's helpful is just having a beverage. Oftentimes we confuse our thirst and hunger sensations, and we feel like we have to eat rather than get something to drink. At the end of the day, one of my go-tos is an herbal tea. I get the caffeine-free varieties, and what we know is that warm beverages tend to decrease cravings and also give us a sense of fullness. I have several different varieties here that are I rotate my flavors, and it makes it really delightful. So when you're facing a snack attack at the end of the day, consider having some of these healthy choices available for you and go-tos anytime you need them. Cheers.
My name is Parminder Singh. I'm a registered nurse certified diabetes educator. Welcome to my kitchen today. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I was raised in Scotland. My parents are Indian, but I basically did grow up eating Indian food. So today I've decided to share a favourite recipe of mine that I do cook often, and this is masala, which is just your base sauce for most curries. So you can go ahead and add chicken, fish, mixed vegetables, whatever you choose to add to it, but I'm just going to talk about the base sauce today. So you can see I already went ahead and chopped some things ahead of time. I've got 2 cups of medium onions here, and 2 small tomatoes that I chopped, and I chose to use fresh tomatoes as well as a 1/4 cup of tomato paste. The tomato paste tends to have a few more carbohydrates, that's why I decided to use the fresh tomatoes as well. I'm also using 1 cup of a can of crushed tomatoes for convenience as well. I do have some garlic, and I do have some fresh ginger as well that I prefer to use. I do want to share with you is my spice tin. My spice tin, you know, most Indian families will have a spice tin in their house. So I'll just go over the spices that I like to use. This is the garam masala, which is a base of all spices. I have my chili powder, my paprika, haldi, also known as turmeric. I have some salt here, and also these little seeds are cardamom seeds, and some fresh cloves. My spice tin I'll pull out when I actually make masala, but on a regular basis I'll put Indian spices in anything. So you can see over here I do have, you know, a prescription bottle that I put my spices in, because I use these ones. My husband is a pharmacist. So I have some coriander, cumin powder here, and I also keep some garam masala handy at all times. You name it, I'll put spices in it. Eggs, anything gets a little bit of spice in it from me. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, I went ahead and I heated up a couple of tablespoons of oil. I just use olive oil for my cooking. So it's already been heated, and I'm going to go ahead and add my onions. I like to use a wooden spoon. So I'm just going to cook these on a high heat and let them get brown. Alright, so I went ahead and I'll show you what your onions should be looking like. Your onions are going to be nice and brown, translucent, so you can smell those nice onions. And I'm going to go ahead and I already crushed some fresh garlic. I used about 6 small cloves, I'm going to say. I like to use my garlic crusher. You can see I have some garlic right here. Crush it right into the pot. I'm going to go ahead and add, so the way that I like to have my ginger, I actually use some fresh ginger, chop it up, put it in some ice cubes, and then freeze it. So I actually have some that I'm going to put right in here. And then we'll go ahead and just give it a stir again, so I can get the garlic and ginger in there before I add the spices. Alright, so I've added my garlic and ginger. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my fresh tomatoes. I've also got my 1/4 cup of tomato paste. And I'm going to go ahead and add my spices to this. So in my spices, I like to use about, I'm not a big measurer, and I admit to that. So it's about a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, sorry, not garlic powder, garam masala, about a teaspoon of haldi. We're going to add some salt, some paprika. I know the difference between paprika and chili powder because the paprika is slightly darker. And then we'll go ahead and add some of these cardamom seeds and a couple of cloves. Alright, so in my pot you can see all these colourful spices and the tomato paste mixing up with the onions. I'm going to put this on a higher heat. And just give that a mix, and I'm going to mix this for at least about 5 to 7 minutes so I can get a nice, flavorful, let the spices mix in with the onions. Alright, so I've had a chance to mix our spices with the tomatoes. I'd like to go ahead and just add a little bit of water. And we're going to go ahead and add our crushed tomatoes. And this is about a cup. It's quite a bit of masala that I'm making here. So this is something you can also freeze. And what I like to do is a nice little tip that my mother-in-law gave me. She would actually put masala in cupcake holders and then freeze them, put a couple of bags in a Ziploc baggie, freeze them, and then ready to use anytime that she wanted to or needed them. And I've taken that great tip from her. So you can see here, we're just continue to mix and we're getting the nice colorful base masala. I'm mixing my sauce for about 10 minutes here. You can see how nice and rich it looks. But I have started doing this. I like it to be a little bit more creamier. So what I do is I go ahead and I get my immersion blender. And I just give it a few pulses throughout. This can be a little bit smoother. So I went ahead and I used the immersion blender and I've got more of a creamier base. Now what I've started doing and what my family likes, sometimes you'll see in Indian restaurants you get this nice cream korma sauce, and a lot of times they're using heavy cream. So I give you a couple of options. So you could either add a little bit of Greek yogurt to it to get that creamier taste, but I like to add a can of coconut milk. And the coconut milk has about 3 grams of carbohydrates in it. So that's a good option just to get more of a creamier sauce. Then I like to keep the color so we can always add a little bit more. So I did use the immersion blender, but I don't like to blend it all the way, so we still get some of those nice onions in there. I did add the whole can of coconut milk to get that creaminess. You have that restaurant korma type of sauce, but you know, if you only want to use half a can, that would be okay too. And then if you wanted this sauce to be a little bit darker, we could always add some additional paprika. I did go ahead and add coriander cumin, which is my favorite spice. So after this, you know, we could you can see this is quite a bit of sauce that I made. I would not use all of this if I was just adding like a couple of breasts of chicken. You know, I might only use like a cup of this and then have some chicken and put that on a high heat, and we can go from there. So it's some different sauces that you can use. Thank you for joining me today and coming into my kitchen. I want to say just about the spices. These spices can be found at the global market or an international market, or even in the international aisles of your local grocery store such as Wegmans. You can find chili powder, paprika, garam masala, even Publix, Wise. So good luck. Hope you get a chance to try this masala. Take care.
It's Laura here. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm not going to show you the rest of the kitchen because it might be a little embarrassing. I'm going to focus on this nice corner over here. And what I'm going to be making with you is, I have to read it because it's kind of a long name here, sheet pan baked feta with broccolini, tomatoes, and lemon. It's from the New York Times cooking app, which I love. You can type in whatever you're looking for. You'll get a ton of recipes. They're great. I wanted to show you my other favorite place to go for cooking. For recipes, that would be the Joy of Cooking. You can see my well-worn cookbook. I love it. It's marked, it's dog-eared. I've got everything that I go back to. So this is definitely one of my favorites too. So the reason I chose this today is because it's very low carb. You can serve this dish by itself. Last time I made it, I just ate it by itself. It's recommended that you serve it over farro or another grain. Farro's a whole grain. You can do brown rice, you can do rice, you can do really whatever you want. Or you can just serve this vegetable dish with protein on the side with some chicken. You can do whatever you want with it. It's pretty versatile too. I really wanted to do a roasted vegetable, so I wanted to do one that was a little more exciting, but you can do any roasted vegetable and it's going to turn out great. So once again, it's broccolini, tomatoes, and lemon combined with feta cheese. So I didn't have exactly these things, so just going to show you how I adapt and how easy this is. So I just have broccoli, which is just fine, and I've already washed it. and I'm just gonna cut the stalks and make little pieces here. It said 1 bunch, and I'm making a smaller sheet pan of this, so I think that'll be fine. If you're a bigger family, you might want to do another bunch. So I'm going to spread that out on the sheet. I might cut a couple of these in half just to make them smaller. So when you roast vegetables, having them pretty uniform in size, like all my broccoli, similar size, is helpful. All right, the next thing we have to do is take these grape tomatoes, and they say about 2 cups. So I may not do that many. I love these little tomatoes. I get them at Costco, buy them probably every other week, and we go through them in about a week. They're all different colors and shapes and types. They're delicious, and while you're making dinner, you can just eat on these, and they're not gonna raise your blood sugar. You know how when you get home from somewhere and you're tired, you're hungry, you're stressed, whatever, what do you usually go for? Typically it's like chips, something sweet. So carbs, definitely what we go for when we're feeling stressed, tired, or just hungry. So if you've got something at the ready, like these grape tomatoes, or maybe any other, maybe even the broccoli, like while I'm here, I could just go ahead and cut this up, put it in a container, and have it ready to go for tomorrow. When I get home and I'm starving and I'm making dinner, I can snack on that. All right, so I'm just gonna cut these in half, once again, all kind of the same shape. And I don't know if I'm gonna do 2 cups, but I'll probably do just a bit more. And so if you've never roasted vegetables before, it's really a nice way to bring out the flavor. I mean, broccoli is definitely a whole different thing once it's been roasted. I don't know if you've ever tried has anybody tried Brussels sprouts? I had never had them roasted. I had only ever had them boiled, and they just weren't very good. But if you cut Brussels sprouts, cut the stem off and cut them in half and place them on a cookie sheet. I usually put them all face down after I cut them in half. Drizzle them with olive oil, salt, and pepper. They're pretty amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna do about that much. Okay, the next thing we have to do, they call for a red onion. I actually didn't have a red onion, so I'm just gonna do the white onion. That's fine. I think red onion is a bit better, but I'm gonna go with this one, because I'm just going with what I've got today. And that's what's nice about these recipes like this, is you can really switch up. Like I can just delete the tomatoes if I don't like the tomatoes. Okay, so I'm gonna take this onion and I'm just gonna cut it kind of coarsely. Cut into wedges. So that's how you're gonna wedge this onion. Do it this way. Okay. Now I'm just gonna spread this onion in there. Okay. And the next thing, I'm gonna take this lemon, and it says half a lemon. Once again, this has already been washed, and cut it in very thin wedges. And what happens with the lemon is it breaks down, it kind of caramelizes just like all the other vegetables, and it adds a lot of flavor. And if I cut it really thin, you can eat the whole thing, skin and everything. So it's pretty nice. So just about half the lemon, and then you save the other half when it's done, and you can squirt the lemon over top. All right. So I'm just gonna spread that lemon in there. Okay, so now 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm gonna just grab the olive oil over here. I'm not really gonna measure this. I have a pretty good idea of what a tablespoon looks like. So I'm just gonna say about 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna toss it around to coat it. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of seasoning, okay? So you can tell over here, what we love at my house And that will be salt, pepper, cumin. You only buy it in a big container like that if you like it, and we use quite a bit of that. And we use crushed red pepper flakes in so many things. If you like things spicy, there's no sodium, adds a ton of flavor. So for this recipe, it calls for, let's see, half a teaspoon, or a teaspoon actually, of the ground cumin. Gotta take the lid off. All right. I'm just gonna spread that around. This is a nice flavor. You might recognize it. It's in a lot of Mexican dishes, lots of dishes out there. Okay, and then the red pepper flakes, it says half a teaspoon. I'm gonna go a little bit heavier because I know my family loves the red pepper flakes. Sprinkle those on there. And then pepper. I also love pepper. So far, that's all sodium free, and I'm just gonna add just a little bit of salt here. Okay, and then once again, toss that around, mix those flavors throughout. All right, and then the final step is the feta cheese, and it calls for, let's see, 2 6 to 8 ounce blocks of feta. So what I've got right here is an 8 ounce block of feta. So I'm just gonna do 8 ounces. I'm not gonna go for the 2 8 ounce blocks tonight. I'm just gonna do the 8 ounce block. So I just bought, not the crumbled, but the block like this. I'm gonna cut it into slices. Feta cheese is one of my favorites. It's super flavorful, so I'm gonna nestle it in among the vegetables. It's okay if it breaks a little bit, it's fine. It definitely has a distinct flavor. If you don't like feta cheese, you could just sprinkle this with Parmesan cheese. It would be great like that. Or even like the shaved Parmesan. So you can do anything you want like that. So nestle it in there among the vegetables. This will add a ton of flavor. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna bake it for 15 to 20 minutes at 400. I know it's done when the tips of the broccoli are gonna be a little bit dark there. If I stuck a fork in the stems there, they would be nice and soft. The tomatoes should get kind of blistered, nice and soft. And I'm gonna stir this once throughout the cooking. So I'm gonna open it up, flip things around, come back to it. So I'll see you in about 20 minutes. I flipped it around halfway through. I'm gonna pull it out and put it on the stove right here. And you can see the tomatoes are nice and blistered, just like I wanted them. The broccoli is nice and brown on the tips there. And the feta, it gets so good when it's baked like that. Onions are nice and tender. And if I poke the stalks of the broccoli, it's pretty tender too. So it will be easy to fill half my plate up with vegetables if it looked like this, I guarantee you. The other thing I can do, this half a lemon I had left over, I'm just gonna squeeze it on top, make it even better. And if you've got some fresh herbs, it recommends cilantro or basil or something that you have hanging around, whatever you like, or you don't have to. So I think tonight we're gonna make some protein with this, some chicken. I might throw some brown rice in, I'm not sure yet, but this looks really good. I can't wait to eat it. It's too hot, I would try it in front of you, but it's too hot, but I've had it, it's delicious. So good luck, hope you like it.
Hi everyone, my name is Courtney. I'm one of the registered nurses in Mary Washington's Diabetes Management Program, and welcome to my family's kitchen. I wanted to share with you today one of my favorite breakfast meals, scrambled eggs and veggies. It's quick, it's easy, but most importantly, it's balanced. So the veggies are definitely the star of this dish. I have about a cup of spinach, bell peppers, onions, but you could also add tomatoes, scallions, mushrooms, whatever you like. My protein is coming from the cheese and eggs, and my carbohydrate is in the English muffin that I have toasted already, sitting over here waiting. So let's get started. I like cooking with olive oil. Olive oil is high in monounsaturated fatty acids, which is a fancy way of saying it's a healthy fat. So the veggies are going to be first in the pan. And before I add the eggs, I wanted to talk about eggs for a second because sometimes they get a pretty bad rep. Yes, eggs are high in dietary cholesterol, the yolk, but scientists now know that dietary cholesterol doesn't really affect the level of cholesterol in our blood. That culprit is going to be unhealthy fats, the trans and saturated fats. That's what raises our bad cholesterol. Anyway, that's just my PSA for eggs. So you can go ahead and add them to the pan. With a little bit of cheese. Alright, so you can season with some black pepper, some sriracha for heat, and there you have it, my balanced plate. This plate has a total of 40 grams of carbohydrate. That's coming from 28 grams of carb in my English muffins and 12 grams of carbohydrate from 1 tablespoon of this jelly that I'm going to add on there. So I'm going to go ahead and eat this. But when I come back, let's talk about why breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We've all heard it before. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So let's talk about why. For starters, when we wake up in the morning, after sleeping for hours, our body's fuel tank is on empty. For it to function normally, our body requires food for energy. Secondly, eating breakfast jumpstarts our metabolism. By not skipping this very important meal, we're letting our body know that food is available. Do not go into starvation mode and slow down our metabolism. Third, eating regular, consistent meals is going to help regulate our blood sugar, which is especially important if we're taking medications for diabetes. So if you're not in the habit of eating breakfast, it's okay to just start off small. Grabbing a piece of fruit or a granola bar, and then gradually adding more food groups. Just like you got used to not eating breakfast, you can get used to eating breakfast again. If you're looking for some inspiration, I recommend you check out diabetesfoodhub.org. This website's through the American Diabetes Association, and they have tons of recipes and a really helpful weekly meal planner. One recipe on there that I love, the zucchini lasagna skillet. I made it for my family last week. 5 stars. So thanks for listening, everyone. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you later.